Um, we have a couple of agenda. We do have some discussion to have. I I did not really think of that. Some of our average rep will be out of office today, but let's go ahead and get started. Um, okay, welcome to the Hours Committee meeting on the first day of May. We are a community focused on the open source license project securing data in use and accelerating the adoption of confidential computing through open collaboration. We definitely welcome everyone's participation and collaborations here. And here's the antitrust policy. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our Linux Foundation PMs on the line here as well. Today, these are the agenda items that we'll be going over. But before, I was thinking maybe we could change our names to your name and your company. And I think we're gonna incorporate that going forward so that we well, I mean, I know everyone, but we can kind of know which, rep is from which company. I think that would be very helpful. Thank you for changing that already. All right. Oh, hey, Laura.
Hi, Kate. Good morning.
Morning.
Or good afternoon.
Morning still here.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. All right. Do we have quorum?
You do.
Oh, yay! That's amazing. Okay, so outreach minutes from last meeting does anyone have any questions or comments or objection
No.
from this group?
I have received none during the week as well.
Okay, awesome. So this is been resolved. All right. Right over to you, Ms. Jalal.
Okay.
Or Jalal, do you want me to cover this?
This first slide, it wasn't me who put it together, so.
Okay, so this is our marketing kind of a snapshot update. So we incorporated this cadence to see overall how we're doing in terms of website traffic, social performance, and what are the top performing content on our website and social and et cetera, and newsletter as well. And we have Jen just created the April analytics here, but unfortunately she is not able to join this meeting today, but everyone feel free to take a look at the April analytics. I took a quick look at it and I did see there is kind of the performance did a little bit flat compared to previous couple months. And so it would be interesting for me to find out what caused those, and also in terms of the newsletter, which I am managing. I think that there is a lot of, I don't know, back and forth. I do want to include a lot of content in the email, but I also understand that there is a lot of CTAs as well in our newsletters. So that's something that I would love to work on to concise the content as well as the CTAs that we're making people to click on, because our click-through rate was very, very low. So that's something that I will be working on. But like always, please feel free to shoot me an email if you have any comments after you receive newsletter or anything in that regard. I'm open to hear it. Any questions on this slide? Okay, go on to the
Do you
next.
want me to open the analytics, or would we have everybody just skim through it later?
Yeah, I would have everybody kind of go through it on their own.
Perfect. Oh, sorry about that. There we are.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah, we can start with this one.
I'm not sure why it does that. Sorry, just a moment.
So the goal of the next couple of slides I'm going to be sharing is to get feedback on my rationale into how I want us to get more intentional about the content that we're putting out, right? So I'm thinking in terms of themes, in terms of triggers, when should we publish what, and also about the execution of how we want to get the engagement for our members to start using the consortium media as a channel for them to amplify their messages. So in this first slide, I kept it really simple, thinking about the different funnels of the content we want to target. So definitely there must be top of the funnel pieces. Those would be targeted mainly to the personas of decision makers. I imagine them to be related to wider industry trends. So for example, zero trust and the regulation, is not regulation, but the bill that came out from the US President's office about it, that's something that we can answer to technically using confidential computing. And through my interaction with customers, a lot of them are asking generic questions like, what do you have, for example, as canonical for zero trust for me? I imagine the type of personas who are visiting our website would be interested in understanding how we really can help them meet zero trust. And there is also wider trends such as supply chain security. So moving into the second part of the channel, the persona we can target is mostly architects, CISOs, and here we want to get our members to talk to us about use cases. So knowing what's the value proposition of confidential computing, who can stand to benefit from it, which industries, so on and so forth. Last but not the least, and I know this is something that Sal is particularly interested in, but we do have to always be positioning ourselves as the as technical reference for this topic. So we want to be acknowledged as a place where people come in to know exactly what are the primitives that make confidential computing possible. And here I'm thinking of taking it really from the bottom up. So silicons, what do they offer in terms of primitives? How do they make use of, do we make use of them as operating system providers, for example? How do ISVs build on that? So I'm sure we can provide a lot more content that speaks to each one of these three phases of the funnel. In the next slide, please. Right. So what is the trigger in terms of what would make us think of writing a piece of content? So I'm thinking that we do have to be intentional. There has to be some planning behind it. Mostly that would go on me to reach out to the members and get them to write pieces. And there should be evergreen pieces, right? Just what is this? What is that? How can financial services make use of, I don't know, confidential spaces? But it's good also to be opportunistic. If there is, for example, I don't know, a vulnerability that is disclosed within the hypervisor and everybody's talking about it, that's one way for us, like, hey, listen, if you had your data running in a confidential VM, then really this vulnerability wouldn't have impacted you. So that's what I mean by opportunistic, something that's newsworthy, everybody's talking about it, and we can just come in, hey, we could have saved you the hassle of worrying about where you have this vulnerability in your stack. And the personas of the people who visit the website, I would like to know to learn a bit more about them in order to prioritize into the verticalization strategy that we would have. Top of my mind, just from my experience working with the operating system side, I see a lot of customers having interest in this topic coming from the financial services, coming from the health sector, and then just end users who don't necessarily, like IT providers who don't really, who provide, actually I should have put ISVs here. So ISVs who work themselves with customers from different industries, just trying to understand how they can better serve those customers. And then another way to organize content is technically what is the deployment model we have. So we can have a campaign for confidential computing on the edge, another one for private cloud, and another one for the public cloud as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, so before getting into the execution, I want to put forward the idea and get feedback into the types of content, because there is a certain type that is easily shareable by people. For example, if it's a data sheet, that's something that's an evergreen piece. We can update it as technology evolves, as use cases evolve, but it's something I find it more appealing than a blog post. Somehow people are more inclined to share it with each other. We can use it in events as well to hand out to people who stuff at the booth. And it's just so this mostly perhaps can be bottom of the funnel or middle of the funnel. Glossaries, I've already started doing that, how-tos, and then of course the typical blog posts, white paper and video snippets. But for the first three ones, we would want to have a template, right? So that we make it easier for the people who want to contribute content to actually produce it. So I don't know with whom I can work, but I can work on it actually myself, but just a template which is branded with the consortium's branding. And then what we expect the members to contribute to this datasheet for. In the next slide, please. Here is what I'm thinking. Here's how I'm thinking about driving this. Driving this meaning how I can get more members of the consortium to actually contribute content. That's adheres to this kind of thinking. I think we need to make it as easy as possible for our busy members to engage with this idea. So initially, I would want to define the themes. Like next quarter is confidential computing for private data centers, and I will publish titles of the specific contents that we are interested in, and have people through a Google form just express interest in providing this piece. And in the form, they should be able to commit to roughly a timeline, like because we want to publish in this quarter, then we would expect the piece to come in a reasonable, timeline for us to put it on our channel. So I don't want to be so much dictating what we want to have, but I think a level of being opinionated in what we want to have is good to drive themes and not just drive random content. But also it removes the intellectual burden from the members to be thinking, I want to have my voice on the consortium's channels, but what is really this piece that would be okay for me to write there? So I'm trying to remove that burden for them to think about what to write and just get into the writing. But not to be.
Hi, this is Laura. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just had a quick question. Would we publish this on the CC website, or is this on sorry?
Or
our own website, like on NVIDIA's blog sites or something?
This is meant for the Confidential Computing Consortium's channels. So anything or our web presence. Yes.
Okay, perfect. I was just curious. Thank you.
Absolutely. Of course, because I cannot anticipate everything that is interesting to talk about for confidential computing, then we do want to still have in the Google form, which advertises for the themes and content pieces we want, just an option for, well, you can propose your own piece, all right? Something that would help us is just to be a bit disciplined. I'm telling this to myself mostly, disciplined with how we'd execute on this. So I imagine a quarterly execution plan to be reasonable. So we are already in May. So if we say we want to do private cloud with confidential computing for the financial services industry in the next quarter, then I need to be pushing for this Google form for members to pick the content they're going to commit to by the latest middle of next month. And then we have, there needs to be follow-ups on the progress of those pieces. And then with Jen, I can organize a social media calendar for which pieces, for the chronological order, which would make most sense for the people visiting regularly or just reading through our website. So that's the plan, a quarterly cadence for the execution and coordinating with Jen and the rest of the team members on the promotion of this. Of course, I will come back here next week to, I think I have something for in next slide. I already started brainstorming about the topics, right? For Q3, I went through the content which is published already on our channels. And I see that the following might be of benefit. I still have to think further about this this week and come back with a more granular plan in our next meeting. But initially, I think it's still not very clear to all the personas that we would want to target why confidential makes sense for their particular deployments. And I'm thinking here mostly about the persona of the enterprise customer who is deploying, who is having a private data center. It's not immediately obvious what they want. It's not as obvious as it is for a public cloud setup for this persona to understand why they need confidential computing. And I see a lot of ISVs, a lot of our content speaks about confidential joint analytics, which is a great use case, but there is room just for us to emphasize security in depth that we get through confidential computing. The fact that if you have CVEs in the privileged system software with the confidential VM, you're protected, so on and so forth. So I want to put pieces which speak to this. Mike, please.
I would just, in addition to the defense in depth aspect, you might want to consider kind of the idea of like containerization, or not containerization, but compartmentalization of security, where if you have an attack or a corruption in one particular VM or application, that it's contained within that VM, that the other VMs are protected from attack by a process that's gone malicious.
Absolutely, yeah. So protection of the VM from the host as well as from other VMs in the multi-tenancy environment, which you do have in the private data center as well. Thank you, Mike.
And I also wouldn't underplay the just the business enabling aspect of it too. Even within companies, sharing data, you think within our own companies, hey, is everybody, quick to share their data? Not so much all the time, but having, confidential environments where you can collaborate even within an organization or within an enterprise or among, the enterprise and the enterprise's partners can be helpful. So put it kind of on the business enabling side, not just the security side.
You are speaking directly to the second point. So besides the attacker model, besides security in depth, confidential analytics, and I said analytics generically to also make room for people to speak about confidential AI with NVIDIA H100s, right? But analytics can be just as simple. Can be simpler than full-fledged AI deployment.
I have a basic question as well. Would it be, and I'm sure because I am quite new, so I would like to know, do we have a planning then on what has been already given and the coming in order to then plug in and see that we are not repeating, or we give a version 2, or is there a place where we can look what has been planned and what is already planned? Because this is quarterly planning, right? So things happening in the next 3 months, they're already all set, correct?
The things for the Q2 has been loosely set, and that's what Isla is working really hard on, to really systemize this process so that we can proactively produce our content rather than like one-off and last minute, which I am fully behind taking last minute action for anything that we need to act really quickly. But what I'm also personally trying to do here at this committee is for us to be proactive in multiple areas that we're working on. So in terms of your questions about where can we see the previous deployment of our content, our website is a great place for it. I'll copy and paste it here. So there is a blog page where we have been publishing our content.
Okay, so that's the blog post, and that you are quarterly planning, and we need to provide them with, and needs to agree with the whole consortium. Okay, Yeah, thank you. Sorry for asking basic questions at this point.
Don't apologize. That was a great question.
Indeed. So to Kate's point, what I'm trying to do here is to provide and have guarantees that we have an intention behind the content that we put out. Of course, this is for the what I refer to as the planned content, but as outlined in the previous slides, we do want to remain definitely flexible and open with both opportunistic pieces of content that we will solicit from our members if we see something, a trend that is coming up, or as I mentioned, a vulnerability that we can highlight that we protect our customers from, but also announcements that the members make for new launches, new releases. They're always welcome to submit a request to have that promoted as well. So this is as far as I have come into thinking about how to drive further a more structured content plan for the consortium. These are the themes that I currently propose. I will come next week with more granular, with the form, with the Google form, basically, with the titles of the pieces of content. And I would love some feedback then before opening it to the wider consortium members. Thank you.
Thank you so much for thinking about this, Isel. And I think the way that you are like gearing this towards is it's the right track, and I really love how you're thinking about this. And I think having two things, focusing on the benefits and the business enabling around confidential computing and what is actually, I look at it as our job is not to really educate what confidential computing is necessarily. It is to educate what it does for the end user or end customer for in this case. So I think shifting our gear towards more value proposition, focusing on that and creating content where it makes sense for the end user perspective and the vertical industry that we're targeting and the positions that we're targeting to meet. I think it all is relevant. I think it all ties in with broader context, which, next topic is the brand repositioning. That the topic that Mark is going to talk, lead us through. But events where what we are going to be speaking at events and things like that, it all kind of ties in all together. So having this main theme for the quarter and we kind of marching towards the same angle, I think that's really helpful. And thank you for thinking of it
Absolutely.
that way. And for the forms and logistical part, I'm sure you can work with Jen to streamline that.
See the right person to work with for having templates for branded data sheets and
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you so much. All right.
All right,
Mark.
looks like I'm up. So I don't know that I have all that much to say. I think the work that Ijal is suggesting fits right into what we're discussing at the board level around brand repositioning. It's the same theme, right? I think what's happening is we're maturing in the confidential compute space, and we're now looking at our website and thinking, we really need to consider answering questions around the value proposition of confidential compute in different settings. So we want to basically take, it's along the same lines as what Ijal was describing here. How do we describe the why? And how do we position that more prominently on our website so that the end developers, the industries that are going to benefit from the technology can come to our site and get an understanding or an idea of the value proposition of confidential compute in their environment. So this brand repositioning working group is a proposal that came out of the board meeting that we had on April 17th. And the idea was to look at the content on our website and start answering the questions around the why, right? So expanding the information that we put out in our website to describe that content. So the working group that's proposed to be put together, and if I can just share my screen for a second, I'll share the document that was just posted on the chat here. just to give an idea of what we have as a starting point. So there's been a document put together. I didn't put this together. Somebody went through the work of capturing the information and putting together a sheet, a sign-up sheet, where we can collect names to help support this initiative. It describes the purpose, which again talks about the why, right? Looking at use cases and looking at the information that would be pertinent to end users, looking to find the value of confidential compute in their environments. And you can see here there's an emphasis being put on bringing out the use cases that exist that are maybe more compelling and easier to grasp in this space. And I'll add a little bit more to this because we did have a discussion in the board meeting around where this content can come from. And I think we have a great pool of information that we can draw from already. So the process and the timeline, it looks like we want to do this fairly quickly. We want to get started with a working group and have a proposal that we can start discussing as a group early in this year, not too far out. So it looks like board level review in June, something that we can pull together in 6 weeks. The scope is to identify the information that could be added to our website. It's not to change the website itself. So this is an opportunity for the group to put together a proposal on how and what information we could add to our website to make it more appealing to those end developers. And it looks like there's a few other meeting notes here that you can read through if you're interested in participating in this effort. Just one more thing I wanted to bring up in terms of content. When you look at what is put together for the CC Summit conference coming up in June, there was an emphasis put on end user demonstration, right? So demonstrations of use cases where confidential compute comes in and solves a problem. We have that list of talks. We have the list of talks in the category of use cases. We can go through each one of those and identify the ones that are most interesting and work with the speakers to create content that we can then put on our website. And that could be a great starting point to pull together a real view of these different verticals that are kind of touching on confidential compute. So very quickly, we can have something that we can pull together on our website, and it would be very relevant. It would be very up to date with what's being presented. So I think at this point, we're looking to nominate some names of people in various companies that are willing to participate. We're having the discussions now in the outreach meeting, and I think this is also going to be discussed at the TAC later this week.
Yeah, this is cross-committee collaboration.
Okay, any questions on this initiative?
Some of the notes that I took from that governing board meeting when we were discussing this, this is just the wrong note, so just give granted. The needs of the security and confidential computing needs to be addressed, and we need to address the sovereignty and emerging concerns around the data privacy with the zero trust angle and all inclusive of the benefit of confidential computing. And
right. So we had explored, so I think in that context, we were exploring some of the use cases that we want to call out that we know are front and center. Data privacy being a key one, especially when you consider the AI space, right? There's definitely a need in that market, and it's coming out with companies that are looking at AI to start. They're doing their prototypes, and when they go to bring that to production, they hit the barrier of regulation, and then they're left with a challenge of how do you protect the data that's being used in these models, and they have to prove themselves. And I think this is a very good use case that we can, prominently showcase on our website.
Definitely.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing. Feel free to send questions. This document is available. I think it was dropped in the chat.
And if we have any member here in this call would like to participate in this project over the 6 weeks.
Now I see that Gemma's dropped. Gemma was briefed on this, and we'll have a chance to chat tomorrow. I think she's gonna put her name down to support as well.
Okay. So if you are,
I was just going to say it makes sense that we drive the content in alignment with this as well. Can you just tell us a bit more where the main conversation will happen, in which it's a cross committee thing, but in where will the conversations happen?
This will be a working group, so they're going to formulate their
Mm.
own sessions to discuss the progress of this project. I think that's the intent. It was originally discussed at the board level meeting on April 17th. That's where this came up. But you can see it draws parallels to your efforts, Ijal, and I think there's a room for a very tight collaboration there.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, I can participate, but it kind of depends on where we go on the use case paper. Right now, all of my available outreach committee bandwidth is being taken up by that one, but hopefully we're able to put that one to bed in the not too distant future.
So the use case report, that was another thing that I wanted to talk about, but maybe not in this call, maybe can talk offline. Definitely would love to revisit what is the progress, because we actually have not gotten much of an update past 2 meetings.
It's gone, yeah, and to be honest, it's gone silent, but let's not dwell on that. We're talking about another topic right now.
Absolutely. So for this, Rian, did you want to talk about the meeting cadence and things like that?
Yes. So for practical steps, I'll send it out with the mailing list and then ask people to sign up. And then we need to identify somebody that will step forward as a chair. We set up a meeting cadence for this. My proposal would be a weekly meeting for just catching up on, and it doesn't have to be a long meeting, of catching up on who's working on what. And then a lot of async work. And the purpose is to get the framework to get the brand readjusted on the web page as soon as possible, to catch all the changes in the industry as soon as possible. What has been put under out of scope, so people have to generate what they want on there, as much guidance as they want, but we have Aleph media team to help generate information once you get the ideas out, and also the update of the website would not be the responsibility of the people. So don't worry, you don't have to do the website. Just throw us with the information and get some consensus. Then we submit that to the board. Board agree on this is our brand, and then we can work on that. And then once we have a meeting cadence, I can set it up for us in LFX.
Okay. Feel free to type your name in the doc, in the link here in the chat, if you would like to participate. Okay. Rian, can you put back up that slide? And thank you, Mark, for bringing us together for this.
I flipped to the next slide, but I stopped sharing. Give me a moment, just find the share button again. My share is not reacting. Give me a moment.
Okay.
There we
I
are.
can share. Oh,
I've got it.
got it.
Sorry, Zoom is slow.
Oh, okay. So this is the RSA snapshot, what's happening next week. So a lot of us here worked very hard to make this happen. So for CCC, we have booth space, which we've gotten a lot of members participate in the digital content, where we will be rotating on the screen at our booth with short under 1 minute video format or slideshow in the loop format. So we have received content from these companies, which is really great. So thank you all for doing so. And we also have our members who will be present on site, will be volunteering to staff the booth and also have an opportunity to show their demo or spend time at the booth. So we have these companies signed up for our booth duty here on site. So CCC Passport is an activity that we are going to be printing out with our member booth numbers and also some accepted talks, including Mike's and Hashmesh's talk, as well as some booth talk that is around confidential computing as well. So we'll be handing that out at our booth and at our networking everywhere in member booths and etc. As well as we did not include the graphic, but also Sal has a great CCC one-page flyer we will be also placing in our booth and members booth as well. In terms of our SAC blog, we have submitted, hope everyone got a chance to review them. We were able to incorporate, I think, 5 member quotes across all different sections in the blog. So thank you all for contributing. And then we are going very small and tiny for our swag and giveaway. We're going to give away some Bluetooth tag for traveling. And we also are planning on printing out new stickers, which is the square with the CCC logo. So I'm excited to see it in person, and as well as we'll have the regular CCC spelled out logo as well. And we have included AMD's premiere news also in our banner here. So we will be able to capture all the members and projects up to date at RSA. Any questions? No? Okay, moving on. Okay. So here, just these are open CFPs. Quick notes, I have bumped up a little bit of more dates in our deadlines. I got an email from some of the members that in order to plan the travel to make some of these conference needs to be planned a little bit before than what we were originally targeting for. So I bumped it up a little bit. So just wanted to let you all know if you are planning on submitting anything for these conferences. And Rian, please make sure this is also shared via the TAG committee meeting as well.
I will share it with the minutes.
And tag the meeting as well.
Yes, I'll do that.
Okay, perfect. These, we do not have to go through this. We all have access to it if you would like to look at the list of events that we're participating in. Lara and I actually have not contributed anything yet, but Lara and Ben has been working to create this event metrics and tracking framework. So this is something that we talked about last couple meetings ago. We need to look at whenever we spend investment or time or traveling or even sponsorship or whatnot, everything needs to be considered with this, metrics and what is the impact and value that we're creating from participating. So those are the framework and foundation we are wanting to create here. And so that's what it's about. Go on. Okay, so.
Well, yeah, so on the TCA side, it sounds like everything's pretty aligned here. I'm just setting these the events next month or this month, but we've got RSA and everything beforehand, so let's focus on those. PET online webinar middle of the month, which does have some cool use cases that we can lean on and possibly expose. Both of those are financial use cases, financial crime and trading exchanges. And then shifting a little bit more to some of the blog content that I can get out in the meantime this month as we're working on refactoring the website. I've got this QCon blog post that I have not gotten out for a month because I got reviews from every developer that gave a talk, but now it's pretty solid. That will be out this week. Then for May, I'm gonna put out a series on the CCC landscape, which goes into the basic subcategories of the projects that we have. That should be nice, relatively evergreen content that we can also reuse as copy for the website, potentially. But if there's anything along the way, as we are looking to like rescope and rebuild days, I tend to find that blog productions while you're doing, well, okay, here's how it goes. Usually you'll write blogs on the things that you don't have on the website yet. So we can probably put out blogs that are going to be our web copy as well. So if you have anything that you want to see that I could write up, that could be a blog plus copy, let me know in the meantime. But that's it for this month. I'm working with the projects and getting out this content. So let me know how I can support.
Thank you so much. And in case you don't know, your content's been performing very, very well on our blogs. So thank you for your contribution.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, I think that's it. Rian, is that it? Okay. Any other business? Does anyone have any open topic they want to discuss? Or else we can end early. Yay, look at us. Okay, so thank you all for being here. I think the biggest CTA for this meeting today was to review the working group, the brand repositioning working group doc, and review them and volunteer to participate in this working group if you would like. Okay. And Rian will share out any other notes and our agenda as well in the email shortly after. All right, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks,
Thanks.
everyone.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, everyone. Bye.